Alright guys, and welcome back to another video. Anthony with Jhuly's Aquatics and Gardening. And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to my fish room. For those of you who have been here since the beginning of the channel, welcome back to the fish room. It's been a couple of months since we've been down here. And as you know, the garden is closed for the season. And so all of our videos and projects are going to be shifting inside. So we're going to be focusing on the fish tanks down here and the one upstairs in the living room more heavily over the next couple of months. And there might be some changes coming up as far as how I do my content going forward. But we'll discuss that when the time comes. Also, as I mentioned on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, the link is in the description. I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, including live IGTV videos. So if you want to, stay up to date with the content that I'm doing over there, make sure that you head over to Instagram and check me out and give me a follow over there. But what I was getting ready to say is I'm going to be shifting down from 2 videos a week to 1 video per week. I think that might be more feasible because, again, at the holidays we're really busy and I don't have as much time to make videos because I'm spending more time with the kids and with family and so on and so forth. But so it's Cyber Monday, enough with that. It's Cyber Monday and I was up till after 1 o'clock this morning shopping, and I purchased some fish and I got them on a really good deal, and they're going to be coming on Wednesday. So I need to take the next couple of days to clean my quarantine tanks, to clean my filters, and get my tanks ready for my new imports. So this video is going to span a couple of days because I'm going to go ahead and show you how I clean and prep my quarantine tanks. And then once the fish come in, I'll show you how I unbox them and get them into the tanks. So the tank I'm going to be focusing on is the one, well, that's going to be the star of the show today. It's going to be the 20-gallon long that I have down here on my right-hand side. I have 6 quarantine tanks. This one down here is the worst out of all 6 of them. Out of the 6 quarantine tanks, 2 of them have fish in there that I've been quarantining for the last, 4 months. I don't typically quarantine that long, but because of a whole bunch of different factors, they've been in quarantine for that long. So the fish that are down here, I'm going to be moving them. I think there's only 2 in there because I lost the rest of them over the growing season. That's my twins crying in the background. Well, this is really an extreme example. It never gets this bad, but I'll show you pretty much what I do in order to get a tank ready for quarantining fish that are coming in a new order. So let's head down here. This is a very difficult tank for me to film. It's very awkwardly placed, so the shots might not be as pristine as I'd want them, but what have you. So let's take a closer look at what I've got going on down there. It's a mess, and I'm just, for total transparency, showing you the realities of my life as far as what happens with my fish. So let's get down here and get our hands dirty and get to work. Alright guys, so as you can see, this tank is extremely dirty and there's a lot of there's a lot of algae and all of that good stuff on the glass. So I'm gonna start by scraping the glass so that I can actually see into the tank. So the water line in this tank is significantly low. My children had a habit of, while I was at work, they would come downstairs and grab my nets and decide to go fishing in my fish tanks. They broke my fish tank lid, killed a few of my fish, and so here we are. So this tank has had many manifestations. It was a Crebensis breeding tank. It's been a quarantine tank for a long time. I think at one time it had shrimp in it. So, I mean, this tank has kind of seen it all. So I can kind of see into the tank a little bit better now. I will be gravel vacuuming it, cleaning up the substrate. And typically in my quarantine tanks, I don't use any kind of substrate. But this tank was actually a very carefully aquascaped tank, and I just kind of lost the hold of it. So I'm just going to get some of this tank water and see if I can't. So I've got some of the tank water. Let me see if I can't catch out. I think there's only 2 fish in there, but let me see if I can't catch them out. Alright guys, so I caught all the fish out. I have 3 bumblebee gobies left out of 7. And there is an apistogramma in there that's typically blue. I think that's a female. But I lost one of the apistogrammas and 4 of the bumblebee gobies. So I am actually interested in keeping a bumblebee goby community. So I might be ordering some more of them today. But I'm going to add those to a couple display aquariums and see what happens from there. So I'm going to keep this net nearby. I did unplug the filter and I started to remove some of the decor so that way it would make catching the fish a whole lot easier. So what I'm going to do is pull out the rocks that are in here, keeping my eye out to see if there are any other fish in this aquarium and catch them out. Then I'm going to be scraping down the back glass. And lastly, I'm going to clean the substrate. I actually found another fish in there that I caught out, so I have 4 of those gobies. And actually, what I did, I stopped and went and placed an order for 12 more, so I can reestablish the colony that I had. So like I was saying, this tank is really atypical because my quarantine tanks are not planted typically unless the fish that I'm quarantining needs plants in order for them to feel comfortable, safe, and to start establishing themselves in their new tank. Then I'll throw in a couple plants, and normally I'll leave them in their container with the rock wool. I don't like adding substrate to a quarantine tank because when it comes time to catch out fish, it just makes it that much more difficult. So again, this was a bumblebee goby community that crashed because my kids went fishing in here and they caught a few of my fish and broke my tank lid, and yeah. So typically when I'm preparing a tank for a new order of fish, I clean down the glass, I do at least a 50% water change, I clean the sponge filter. Most of my quarantine tanks do not have heaters, and if the fish that I plan on putting in quarantine needs a heater, I'll put a heater in and have it running overnight. Then the next thing that I do to make the whole process easier is I'll fix a label to the tank to let me know what fish I'm planning to put where, so that I don't keep them stressed out while I try to make up my mind. So pretty much that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and clean the substrate in this tank and refill it halfway, drain it again to clean the substrate, and then I'll fill it back up, reattach the filter, and then we'll pick up the video when my fish get here. Alright guys, so I decided to break this video up into two parts because it was over 20 minutes long. So, this is the cleaned and reset 20-gallon quarantine tank. So let me show you what I've done. Typically, as I said before, I don't include substrate, plants, or decor in my quarantine tanks when I'm importing fish. And that's because when it comes time to catch out the fish, it makes it really difficult to capture them. However, when a particular species requires a substrate to acclimate more comfortably, or when they need a particular whatever it might be, I like to include it. For these hill stream fish, they need a soft substrate, so I kept the substrate that was in here before. This is actually Tropica aquarium soil, and it's really soft. They can burrow into it. It's gentle on their skin, if you will. They also need high airflow, so I equipped a little air pump on the side of the tank that, as you can see, increases the water flow and the oxygenation of the tank. They also like a lot of rocks. They like to climb on the rocks and bury themselves in the nooks and crannies of the rock. So I included some small rocks, I included some slate, and I also included some giant pieces of lava rock for them to climb on and establish territories. And as I said before, if plants are needed in the aquarium, I stick them in with the rock wool and the container that they came in still attached, because again, this is not meant to be a permanent setup for these fish. It's just a place to house them temporarily. Last thing I want to show you is my label. Whenever I am getting fish in, I didn't write the import date, but I got them 2 days after Black Friday, so I'll write that import date in. And I also write down what I have in the tank and how many. And again, if I do need to medicate fish, I leave space on there in order for me to write in the meds and what I'm dosing the tank with. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video, where I'll go into the unboxing of the fish that I got from the wet spot. These guys actually came from Aquatic Arts, and I have done an unboxing with Aquatic Arts in the past that I'll link in the cards up above. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you will stay tuned for part 2 coming out this Thursday. In all things, you know what to do. Give thanks, and we will see you in the next video.